Hi everyone. Before we get into the conflicts, let us take a moment to look at how the KL-Singapore high-speed rail story actually began.
Right. This project was once seen as one of the most ambitious developments in Southeast Asia, right?
Yes. Back in 2016, Malaysia and Singapore agreed on a 350-kilometer high-speed line connecting both series in just 90 minutes.
So, it wasn't just about transportation. It was about economic growth, tourism, and shaping a new development along the route.
Exactly. Series like Malacca, Muar, and Batu Pahat were expecting a major transformation.
But everything shifted after 2018 change in government, right?
Correct. Rising costs, national concern, and different priorities between both countries started to complicate the entire project.
And negotiation kept dragging on until the agreement expired, right?
Yes, on 1st January 2021, the project officially ended and Malaysia had to compensate Singapore more than 300 million ringgit.
But even after the cancellation, people kept talking about reviving it, meaning the issues didn't disappear, right?
Exactly. The conflict became more complex, especially one new proposal came in for the 2026.
So, to understand all this better, we need to look at how the conflicts actually started.
And for that part, I will now pass over to Alia to explain the introduction of the HSR project.
The Kuala-Lumpur-Singapore high-speed rail was planned as 350-kilometer line that would reduce travel time between the two cities to just 90 minutes. It was formalized in 2016 and expected to bring major benefits such as stronger economic integration, business growth, and new development in cities like Seremban, Melaka, Muar, and Batu Pahat. Studies even projected over 100,000 jobs and billions in GDP contribution. However, after Malaysia's government changed in 2018, rising national debt and financial pressure triggered a full review of the project. Negotiations between Malaysia and Singapore continued for several years, but the two sides could not agree on the revised term. As a result, the bilateral agreement expired on 1st January 2021, marking the official termination. Malaysia compensated Singapore over $102 million Singapore for planning costs. Even though the project and discussion about a possible revival through private funding still continue today. The collapse of the HSR came from several major conflicts. The first was a governance dispute over the assets company, which was meant to act as a natural operator. Singapore believed this was crucial for a fair and a reliable joint system, while Malaysia wanted more control on its own side of the border. The second conflict was financial. Project costs rose dramatically, from 72 billion to nearly 110 billion ringgit at the time when Malaysia's national debt exceeded 1 trillion. This created fear that the project would not be financially sustainable. There were also disagreement about the route, especially Malaysia's idea to end the line in Johor Bahru instead of Singapore. This clashed with the original vision of a true city-to-city connection. This dispute resulted in cancelled development plans along the route, legal challenges in Malaysia, and ongoing uncertainty about whether the HSR can ever be revised without government guarantees.
For my part, I will explain the main factor that led to the HSR conflict. The first one is governance. Malaysia wanted more freedom to manage the project on our side, while Singapore insisted on a natural AssetsCo to keep everything transparent. So, from the start, both countries had different ideas on how the system should be run. Second is a financial pressure. The project costs kept rising, almost reaching 110 billion ringgit, and Malaysia's national debt was already high. Because of that, both countries couldn't fully agree on the funding model. And lastly, sovereignty and route alignment. Malaysia considered ending the line in Johor Bahru, but Singapore wanted a full Siri-to-Siri link. That difference in priorities made negotiation even harder. The conflict also came from socio-economic expectations. Cities like Melaka, Muar, and Batu Pahat were expecting development from the SLR. So, when it was cancelled, it caused a frustration and financial losses. Then, there was the legal fallout, where lawsuits were filed against former leaders. Even though the cases were dismissed, it showed how strong the public reaction was. And lastly, the revival challenge. Even though the project may be revived, it still depends on the private funding, and with the RTS link coming soon, people are questioning whether the HSR is still needed. So, overall, this issue combined made the project very difficult to move forward.
Relation to ethics, safety, health, community, and environment, the KL-Singapore HSR project involves several key ethical considerations. Ethically, it must balance national development benefit with financing risk, especially a privatization, raise concern about public trust and transparency. In terms of safety, profit-driven model may encourage cost-cutting, so strict regulation and independent safety oversight are essential. For a health perspective, the project helps reduce air pollution and carbon emission by shifting travelway from air and road transport. Environmentally, it supports long-term decarbonization Although construction may cause noise, soil erosion, and habitat disruption, finally, for community, HSR improve connectivity and economic growth, but high fare could limit access, creating social inequality. Suggested solution to address the ethical, safety, and financing risk of KL Singapore HSR. Several solutions are proposed. First, to reduce risk, a joint safety commission should provide independent oversight and prevent profit-driven safety compromise. Second, financing safeguard like performance bond and step-in right can protect taxpayer. Third, a dual-track fare system allows affordable economic fare to ensure social equality. Finally, mandatory noisy barrier and wildlife corridor help minimize environmental impact.
There are several key lessons that we can learn from this case. First, the importance of long-term and consistent policy planning. Mega infrastructure projects like the HSR require stable commitments over many years. Sudden policy changes can lead to significant financial losses and reduce investor confidence as seen in the project cancellation. Secondly, financial prudence and risk management are very crucial. The HSR involve high capital and long-term costs, and weak financing structures can cause project failure. Therefore, sustainable funding models are needed to ensure financial resilience. The third lesson is transparency and accountability. Public skepticism increased after the cancellation due to concerns about decision-making. Open processes and clear cost-benefit disclosure are needed to build public trust. Lastly, early and continuous stakeholder engagement are very important. Communities affected by land acquisition must be involved from the beginning. Poor engagement can lead to resistance and delays, while fair compensation and clear communication help ensure smoother project implementation. To conclude, the revival of the KL Singapore high-speed rails offers strong opportunities to improve connectivity, support economic growth, and promote more sustainable transportation. However, the project also comes with major challenges, especially in terms of high costs, social impacts on affected communities, and environmental concerns. The previous cancellations shows that transparent governance, proper feasibility study, sustainable financing, and continuous stakeholder engagement are crucial. Overall, if the high-speed rail is managed carefully and responsibly, it can contribute positively to Malaysia's long-term development.